Hi there, Roger Connect, President, Universal Accounting Center. This podcast is actually dedicated to helping individuals have a successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business. It's becoming the premier accounting firm in your area. Now, for this podcast, I typically have guests and experts on the show to help us basically learn various tips and tricks that we can apply in our business to help us be more successful. So in order to build the premier accounting firm, I've got with us Robyn and Mons from Robyn and Mons Coaching, and this is going to be an excellent conversation because Robyn and I, we've known each other for some time, and I know that she works with a number of business owners. So Robyn, first of all, let's start with a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Robyn Mons, and I'm a life coach. And I've been doing that I'm one that started my business in my 40s. I was mostly a stay-at-home mom. I always had little things on the side that I dabbled in and had my own identity in that way. But then through some personal life experiences and always with having a, interest in personal development and mental and emotional health, it led me to the life coaching skill set and wanted to do that for a living and share that with the world.
It's amazing how life experiences can change our trajectories of what we think we're going to do in our life, and more importantly, give us opportunities to do things that we weren't expecting. And in your case, you had some challenging personal things that led you to do some introspection and reflect, and now you're a business coach, a life coach. You're actually working with people to help them address personal issues that they're facing, business issues that they're dealing with. Now, you coincidentally work with a lot of people that are business owners.
Yes.
They're running their business. How is that? I mean, what is there a relationship that you can, as a business owner yourself, see some of the challenges that they're facing?
Oh yeah, goodness, yes. Being an entrepreneur myself, I can really appreciate the challenges that they have. And just today was talking with someone who, they're in that creative, excited phase, really motivated. Their mind is always thinking of ideas. And we talked about how exhausting that is. Although you're full of wonderful ideas, that, she ended up having to take a 4-hour nap yesterday because she's wearing herself out so much. And so just relating to that and talking to her about having to set certain boundaries with her mind. We call it office hours for creativity.
Yeah.
So things like that, where that excitement at first and how your mind is wanting to think of all the things to do and also scared to miss on any good nuggets of inspiration. And so you just let it roll and roll and roll. And then I remember thinking to myself, okay, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted my own business so I can be in charge of my hours and have the flexibility. Yet I feel like I'm working all the time because I'm thinking about work all the time. So that's something that comes up a lot.
So
coaching.
When you're working with people and you're trying to address these things that they're facing, is there a common thing that you typically experience as the business owner opens up to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of commonalities, and I think that's really comforting, and I'll tell that to people like, oh yes, this is something that comes up all the time, because we feel sometimes it's unique to us, or this is just a habit I have, this is a characteristic of mine. And it's like, no, you have a normal functioning human brain, and it wants to avoid, certain pains. And being an entrepreneur, stretching yourself and doing new things can be a painful process emotionally. And so what comes up a lot is, people are convinced because they don't have experience yet, or maybe they do have some, but they see someone else in the industry with more experience that automatically has them as the inferior person. So we talk about that a lot. And the only reason you feel inferior about that is because you have a belief that more experience is better. And, we have those conversations about experience and the neutrality of it and how that it doesn't mean that you're an inferior person for having less or that other person is better for having more. So that comes up a lot. A lot of like the frozen, you feel paralyzed in doing things is because you're like, I don't have experience and other people do. So that comes up a lot. The imposter syndrome comes up. Just basic fears. Maybe you've tried something before and it didn't work out. Or you have this idea of, this self-concept of yourself as someone who's not that hard of a worker, or you're not good at following through with things. So lots of things, or maybe you were told something when you were younger that you've held on to that now is showing up and keeping you from doing the very thing you want.
So let's talk about a few of those. One being, first of all, the idea of, am I good enough? Do I have the experience? Can I offer this? They're looking outside of themselves and seeing that someone else has been in business, let's say, longer.
Yeah.
But yet they have, say, 10, 15 years experience and are just now opening their business, but they're not leveraging perhaps that experience, which they're more than capable of doing, and thus get the confidence they need to run their business. Do you have any advice for that person that's dealing with that conundrum of, am I really good enough?
Yeah. So usually when you're assessing if you're good enough, and you already kind of alluded to this, you're looking outside of you to validate that.
Yeah.
And where we want to go is inside of you to validate that. And, I have a series of questions that I ask them that helps them explore that and bring that up, where they, become in tune with their own strengths and what they have to offer. And what I find so beautiful is the people I coach, their intentions are so good and so pure. They want to bring, more prosperity to the world. They want their clients to go to bed at night feeling confident about their financials. They want the world to be a better place, and that's why they want to do that. And so when you can tap into why you want to do this and what inspires you about it, then a whole different energy comes in. And the fact that somebody else has more experience than you just doesn't matter anymore. You're excited about your role and your contribution in your own special way.
Yeah, you're making up for it with that energy that you bring to that relationship and the work you're doing. So this is similar to, but not the same as, imposter syndrome. How do you maybe address imposter syndrome?
Yeah, imposter syndrome, is, first of all, I tell everyone, we just need to make peace that all of us are hypocrites, right? We feel like an imposter because, here I am, I'm an accounting professional, yet my finances are kind of messy. I'm not that great with money, and they get that imposter syndrome. Or who am I to think that I should have my own business when, there's other people who struggle or whatever. I'm not the smartest person out there. And like I said, first of all, it's just kind of making peace with the fact that you're not perfect, nor does it require a perfect person to run a successful business. And we all have our ideas of who we want to be and how we want to behave and what we expect of ourselves, and none of us fully live up to that expectation. So it's just kind of first just making the peace with that's the case for all of us. And something a spiritual teacher, Gary Zukov, who I just love, something he says is, when you're speaking about yourself, when you're judging yourself, focus on your high water mark, not your low water marks, right? If I were to focus on all the ways that I don't perfectly live up to the concepts I teach, I would feel like I have no business teaching anyone else. Mm-hmm. But although that's a part of me, that there are parts of me that don't always live up to that, there's so much of me that does. And when I tap into that, and when I see myself as that person, then I show up. Then I can actually help people, and I can be successful. But if I'm just focused on that low water mark, I'm going to hide and not feel good enough.
It's interesting. You brought up something that I think I've seen people struggle with, and it's, yes, I have a truth, something that I believe to be right, but because I'm struggling to live it or apply it myself, what right do I have to bring it up or offer it to anyone else or expect it of anyone else if I can't live up to it? Yeah. But the point is the truth is still the truth. It's still the ideal, and we're each striving for it. So let's identify what is the better way and just work towards achieving that. And so in business, you might not be exactly what you feel you need to be for your clients, but that doesn't mean you can't espouse that and encourage that. So
yeah, very good. And I have to say one thing with that is this comes up so much, is the fear that I won't know how to help someone when they come to me, right? Sometimes they want to spin and say, I still need to get all my ducks in a row. There's still more I need to learn. I see people getting into even more programs and purchasing this mastermind and this program because they want to gain all the knowledge. And really, it's just a protective mechanism for you to not have to come up against possibly not knowing what to do when a client has a question for you. And once we talk through that, everyone recognizes, I do have the support I need if I don't have an answer. And that not having an answer immediately does not tell us anything about your abilities or your skill set or your character, right? And your ability to be successful, knowledgeable
There's
learner.
two things with that. One, I'm that same way. I mean, there's always another program, another book I should be reading that I want and I'm excited about, but I haven't finished the last one.
Right.
So I'm eager to get that next thing, and actually I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to commit myself to doing that, but I'm not going to start something before finishing the other. And so I do need to focus on that and continue working in that direction. But the other part that I was interested in mentioning is sometimes we just need to accept the fact that it's okay to say, great question, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me look into that. And for those that are involved with Universal Accounting Center, you do have the ability to actually tap into a number of coaches and mentors that honestly could answer that question for you to enable you to go back and say, hey, I've done some research and here's what I have found. This is what you ought to know or do. And all of a sudden, it kind of liberates you to realize, I guess I don't have to have all the answers right now.
No.
I don't have to be that encyclopedia.
Right. Yes. It does. You don't lose credibility because
No.
you have to go seek it out.
In fact, I think you're even a little bit more credible by saying, that's a great question. I actually don't know if I have the right answer. I have a guess, I have an idea, but let me make sure I've got everything that I need to answer that question. To leave saying I've got an idea, I think I have a solution, but let me check.
Yeah.
It just makes them more favorable to you to say, well, they've got my best interests at heart. They're going to make sure I get the right answer.
I agree.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to kind of switch this up, and I want to go to some personal questions.
Oh, boy.
And kind of bring this to what it is you're looking at. So
Okay.
what I want to do is just kind of back up to, what do you think people misunderstand about you most?
Oh boy. That's such a good question. I think people misunderstand. I think people will say to me, you just seem like you just hustle. You're just a doer. And it's so interesting because I take frequent naps. In my day, with my schedule, I make sure to block out time for me to have some thinking time, for me to have some downtime between clients. I am not a hustler. I am not a hustler, what you would consider. Just go hard on things.
You're not a workaholic?
I'm not a workaholic.
Oh my heavens! See, I wouldn't have thought that. About
Really?
You. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have. I wouldn't have said workaholic, but I would have expected you to be busy.
Yeah.
So to hear that you're taking naps, I don't take naps. I mean, for heaven's sakes, who takes a nap?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's I have some health issue stuff that I'm just very in tune and aware of my abilities and what my limits are, and I honor them, and I refuse to believe like, oh, I'm missing out on something, or I could be making more money if I didn't. Like I am really well established with those things, and then when I am working, I am all in. I have the energy for it.
Yeah.
It's all about them because I've taken care of myself.
Love it. All right. Give me a childhood memory that's a favorite.
So I lived in Brazil. Portuguese was my first language. And when I moved here, I'm a very social person, very, very social.
Okay.
And we moved to New York, and right away went to school, didn't speak any English, and my mom was just so worried about me because of the friend situation. She thought I'd be lonely. She said I came home from school surrounded by girls, and we're just talking with our hands, trying to communicate. And she thought, okay, she's gonna be all right. So anyway, soon after, I'm kind of surprised. My parents allowed me to go to a sleepover when I still wasn't speaking English very well. So around 8, 9 years old. And
But
so
you knew how to ask, where's the bathroom?
Maybe.
Okay.
I could figure out how to do that. Kids do better with that. We use the body language, we figure it out. So anyway, I go to her, Nicole, my very first American friend, and have the sleepover, and I communicated to her somehow that I was afraid to wake up first in case her family started talking to me in English.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to answer. I couldn't speak English. So anyway, she says, oh, when she understood what I was saying, she goes, don't worry. As soon as I hear a peep, I'll wake up. I'm a light sleeper. As soon as I hear a peep, I'll wake up. I said, okay. So sure enough, I woke up first.
Okay.
And I went over by her bed and I said, peep. I just kept peeping until she woke up. So anyway, that's a fun little childhood memory.
I like it. Give me your favorite holiday movie.
Oh, Elf.
Elf. I do
For
like
sure.
Elf.
Elf. That's the classic. And then While You're Sleeping is also a Christmas classic.
Oh,
for me.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elf. That I am not a Will Ferrell fan. There's numerous films I don't like, but that one in particular is by far a favorite.
Oh, so
Yes.
yeah, so
you
great.
did it. You did it.
It's the most quoted year round.
That is really good. Okay, tell me about someone that's influential in your life and why.
Oh, boy. I have to say, Jesus is the person my mind always goes to, especially with the things I teach. The ability to be in any situation and to have people feeling all sorts of feelings towards you, from the worst, hatred to love and devotion, and to be able to stay true to who he was and to behave in a way that was in alignment with who he was and with alignment to, this higher way of being. To be able to do that amongst any circumstance is just so awe-inspiring to me. And I believe, I don't believe I can get to that perfected state that every single time, but I believe we each have that same capability in us to be in any situation and to be able to react in a way that's in alignment with our soul and who we really are.
I like that. Very good. Let's talk about business.
Okay.
With regards to business, you have your own company. You're working with people. What's a common myth that's a misunderstanding about what you do? You're a life coach. I know you work with people regarding weight loss.
Yeah.
You're a business coach. What's the misconception that people may have about that?
Yeah, I think most people expect to come to a life coach and for me to give them lots of action items, to tell them what to do and not to do.
Just give me the list.
Right. Just tell me how it's so like time management, for instance. Let's talk about that because that comes up so much with business coaching and life coaching.
I have a class on that, right?
Oh, do you?
I do.
Okay. I need to watch it.
You need, yeah.
And so just today I coached on it this morning with a business owner. She says, I need some time management ideas. So that's what people will come to me. Give me the diet plan for the weight. Give me the time management tool for me to use. Tell me what I should do in the situation. And that is a myth because I don't know what you should do, but what I focus on is what's causing the current behavior that you're not wanting or the omission of the behavior you're wanting. And then how do we align your mind to generate the emotions that support what you want, right? So for instance, with time management, again, do you have any ideas? Do you have any tools for me that I can do better at time management? And I'll say, well, how are you currently managing your time? So today, I'll just give the example. Today was, I have these, things I'm supposed to follow up. It's an email that I'm supposed to send out and follow up and schedule an appointment. And I said, well, what is the emotion you're feeling when it's time to do that? That's not what people are normally asking themselves. They're like, I need a new planner. I need that color-coded system that I block things off, or give me a rubber band to hit myself with, right?
Yep.
And so I asked, what's the emotion creating the procrastination, the non-action? And once they check in, for her, it was dread. I just dread doing that. I said, you'll never take action from dread. Right? Dread is an emotion. It's a low-vibing emotion. It's meant to make you kind of pull back and play small and hide away. That emotion doesn't support the type of action you're wanting to take. And so we discussed what type of emotion would match that type of action, and we're able to get her in a place that she could also see it in a way that she felt actually it was something that was really purposeful and really effective, and it was simple. It was little tasks that are really simple, but that contribute largely to her goals, and it inspired a whole different energy. So back to your question, I don't tell people what to do. I don't come up with all these sorts of plans of what you're supposed to do. I help you access why you are not doing what you want to do. And then we make a mental and emotional plan from there to support it.
I love it. So, yes, on time management, I do have something to share on that. I was just coincidentally working with a client on this, and over the past number of weeks, we were diving into the fact that they procrastinate quite a bit, and they felt time management was an issue that they needed to resolve. And you are right. They need to come to the conclusion as to what it is that's stopping them from doing this. This is a conscious thing they have to resolve.
Right.
So the way you get to that is asking the right questions to find what is that emotion that's tied to it. Long story short, I did offer a suggestion, just some techniques that could be used.
Yeah.
And you're right, the color coding, calendaring, there's a variety of options that the person,
great tools.
that they can use and decide to use. In this case, what they were expressing is anxiety. They felt anxious all the time. And what became the underlying part of that is they felt that there were things that they were forgetting. So from a time management point of view, there was a lot of time spent at night in the waking hours trying to remember everything that they're supposed to do. There was time spent during the day thinking of things, but then not really realizing whether or not it was going to be done. So the point is at the end, it was just the fact that they were failing to record or write it down. It wasn't being captured. And so what we did is we came up with a way that they could carry around a little notepad that they could capture this information, and then from the notepad transfer it onto something that was more for organization purposes. Long story short, after doing about 2-3 weeks of carrying the notepad, and any time and every time they could come up with something, write it down to then transfer it, I talked to them 2-3 weeks later and I said, how are things going with the notepad? And how's the anxiety? Long story short, the anxiety had disappeared.
Yeah.
And what they volunteered, and I knew this was coming, is I don't have anything to write down in the book anymore. I said, well, no offense to you, but we're not that creative and that ingenious.
Yeah.
You just needed to get this stuff out of your head. And once you got it out of your head, it was all down. And so, yeah, the periodic things would still come, but at the end of the day, it was still the anxiety associated with things that they hadn't yet written down. And they just needed to capture them. That's all it was. Just capture it, write it down, and then you can be at ease because it's not going to be forgotten or lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing for them. Yeah.
When I say the key to time management is emotional management, usually you don't have a time management issue, you have an emotional management issue, meaning I'm anxious.
Yep.
I don't manage that. I'm not present to that anxiety. I don't understand that that's what's going on. And so then I'm just stumbling and running in circles. And when I can understand that's what it is, then I can address what's causing the anxiety. And then from there take, meaningful action. So, yeah, to me first we hit the emotional part of it.
Yeah, in their case it was the anxiousness. They were worried they were going to forget something and it wouldn't be done. So the moment we could capture that, their anxiety went down and they started sleeping better and so forth. I mean, you're right, it's an emotional issue first, so I like that. That was very good. All right, so what is one lesson that your job has taught you, your business has taught you, that you feel everyone else should know that would be helpful?
Something my business has taught me, it's not about you.
Oh.
It's not about me, right? Like when when I'm thinking about, let's talk about like when I'm thinking about posting something or something I want to teach, a concept or maybe an advertisement, when I'm wanting to send, I know a lot of, professionals send out letters.
Okay.
When you're in someone else's head because you want to convince people that you're good enough and that you're credible, that's when we just can't think straight. That's when we get nervous about it. And we're not in business to prove something about ourselves. It's not about us, right? It's about helping other people solve problems that they have. And when you can get in that energy, and when you are like, oh, I'm here because I care about you and I want to alleviate pain points in your life and I want to help you have a better life, then everything changes. There's no ego to protect, right? When it's about us, oh, I need people to get a certain result so then I can look like a good coach, things get messy and it becomes about me. And that's not fair to my clients. That's when I really clicked with that and really it detached my identity from it, and it truly became a spirit of service that I was coming from. everything has changed.
I love that. You know, one of the things from a coaching point of view that I know you're going to relate to is there's a burden that we sometimes face, which is taking their issues, their problems, their frustrations, and putting them on us to solve and resolve, and weighing us down with their issues, when in reality, we can't own these things. They're not ours to resolve. They're not ours to take care of. We're there to empower and assist them to take care of their own issues. And that's a big deal. And what you're describing kind of falls into line with that.
Yeah, something that my training, where I went to school, they helped us so much to understand that you can't help people when you're in the pool with them. When you believe their story, when you get identified with their story, what's going on. Let me give you an example that would be, applicable to accounting professionals. You know, whenever we're talking money and finances, there's a lot of scarcity mentality that comes up. I just think we're not too far removed from the Depression era. We're not too many generations away. I think many of us have scarcity beliefs around money in general as a population.
It doesn't grow on trees, right?
Right. And so, anyway, when you have a client who is in a place of scarcity, you know, with their situation, if you as the accounting professional believe that story and also believe, yes, you validate, you're like, oh no, this, right? You're in the same belief as them, you can't help them. You're both in the pool, right? And so that has helped me a lot to keep myself in a place, I can still be empathetic and loving, but as soon as I believe you that you're not good enough, or as soon as I believe you that your situation is terrible and there's no hope for you, then I can't help you. And so I have been really blessed with the training and also the practice of being able to, like I tell my clients, I love everyone in the story, and to just hold that space of unconditional love and hear people out, but not believe their story that you know, hope is gone, or that they're not good enough, or that it's not possible for them. I just can't do that.
I love it. You know, when you talk about money, just as a similar story, I remember years ago working with some companies, and to see a few $1,000s profit a month, it's like, oh, they're being profitable. And then to be exposed to the companies that are making tens of thousands of dollars a month being profitable, it's like, okay, that's a new reality. Then to work with a business that's being hundreds of thousands of dollars profit, as you go up, they become the new norm, the new reality, and you all of a sudden start to stop imposing your scarcity mentality on your clients, because really it's limitless. I've worked with, and I've had the privilege to service businesses that are far more successful than ours is, mine is. And it's very humbling. In fact, it's honestly quite motivating to realize, wow, there is that potential. I need to step up my game. I need to go to that level. And I'm very pleased by that, but I can't impose my mindset on them. This is a unique thing about coaching, so I understand that. All right, so here's the next thing. What is, in your profession, the thing you're most curious about right now?
I'm always just so curious about human beings and why we do the things we do, and our behaviors. And I'm especially curious in these times about, you know, just anxiety in general, why it seems, you know, so prevalent, why in youth we see that so prevalent. I'm very curious about that and wanting to see how I can serve and alleviate people I work with from that. But yeah, just the human mind. And the other thing I'm very curious about that I'm learning more of is, you know, manifestation.
Oh, love it.
Like beyond just this woo-woo idea, this like truly, like I'm studying quantum physics right now, like to really understand in a scientific way how that works. And it does, it's amazing. So anyway.
That is good. Yeah, manifestation. We were just talking earlier about vision boards.
Yeah.
And how it still astounds me to this day. I mean, I've been teaching it for a number of years. We've done vision boards with a number of people. And I was just relating to you the fact that somebody a year ago did a vision board, and just this week came to me saying, I need to do another vision board because I've literally achieved everything on the board. Yeah. And these were manifestations that they hope to achieve over years to come, and they achieved them all within a single year, one of which was getting married, and at the time they did the board, they didn't even have this person in their life, and yet here they are now married. So fascinating things when you consider the idea of manifestation, what your mind is focused on, what the mind can believe and it can achieve, right? So
Right.
Let me do this. I'm going to kind of go off tangent here. I've got something fun I'm looking forward to. I try to read regularly, and there's a particular book that I'm reading right now. In fact, I'm rereading it. It's a book that I'd like to actually go through some of the talking points from a chapter with you, and I think this is going to be something that you'll enjoy. So it's kind of an impromptu thing here.
All right.
It's a book that I've got that's High Performance Habits. It's by Brendon Burchard, and this particular book here is one that I would recommend, but I do this because I've been going over this with some clients recently, and we've been reading it together and discussing it together because we're each interested in applying these principles to build better habits. And he has a particular chapter here, and he's talking about how we need to bring joy to the people that we're interacting with, bring joy to the circumstances that we're experiencing. And he has some things here that I think will resonate with you, and I want your input on this.
Okay.
So he says, first of all, just for those that may be interested in following along, it's on page 104. He says here, you might recall that joy is one of the 3 defining positive emotions of high performance experience. And then he says, people with more positive emotions have more satisfying relationships, make more money, and have better health. Why do you think joy and positive emotions resonates with better relationships, more money, and better health?
So our emotions are what drive our behaviors. Okay, so I always use the extreme example. You cannot be in the emotion, okay, the energy that is you are experiencing inside of you. You cannot be in an emotion of anger and rage, and the behavior that naturally comes out from that is a tender kiss or kind words. Okay, your emotions, energy and motion, are what drive your behaviors, and they have to be in alignment. Okay, and so if joy is the energy you're in, it will naturally manifest outwardly and physically from you with the type of behaviors that draw connection with others. So that's why your relationships are better, right? You're going to be more likely to be patient with others when you're in that feeling. And so, generating positive emotion. And the good news is that you can do that no matter what's happening. We tend to think just kind of what's happening to us is what creates our feelings. That's not how it is.
Correct.
And so as you consciously create, and I go through this exercise of, okay, if you're waking up in the morning with dread, with anxiety about work, how do we shift and create a different energy inside so then your actions from then on during the day can be productive and can serve you and what you want. So yes.
Completely agree. You know, you all but said the one word that I thought you might say, which is vibration.
Oh,
There's literally a vibration that goes on. And the way to kind of demonstrate that is when you walk into a room and you're, let's say, negative, down, distraught, and you walk into a room with a whole bunch of happy people, you're uncomfortable. It's a different vibration and feel, and you almost are repelled from that. And the converse is the same but true. If you are happy and excited, and you walk into a room of people that are frustrated and angry, you're on a different vibration, and you repel that. So the point I'm trying to make with business owners and the people that I'm discussing this with is, as business owners, we have a responsibility to realize that when we walk into the office, into the room, we have an energy that we're bringing, and we will, because we're the owners, we will actually affect everyone else in the room. Even if they're happy and we walk in sad, they're going to be frustrated because they see we're frustrated, we're angry. Oh, you know, Roger, he must be in a bad mood. He didn't say hello, everyone, when we when he walked in. When Roger walked in, he seemed a little focused on something. He looked angry, upset. You know, don't push his buttons. That kind of thing could happen. By the way, that doesn't happen, but that's what it is. And then the opposite is true. If they're a little frustrated and there's some anxiety in the office and something going on, and I walk in where I'm excited, it's a great day, beautiful day, we've got some exciting things going on, the energy will dissipate throughout the company simply because I brought it. I, the owner, have the greatest impact on what that vibe is going to be in the office space. So love what you just shared there. Okay, here's the next thing, all right? Let's see here. We've heard it said that 80% of success is showing up, but it's also bringing the joy. Positive emotion is a prerequisite for high performers, and only you are in charge of your enduring emotional experience. I'm going to say that again. And only you are in charge of your enduring emotional experience. What do you think he means by only you are in charge?
Yeah, our perceptions of our lives is what creates our emotional state, not what is actually happening in our lives, right? We want to say, oh, well, I can't feel joyful because, the pandemic's going on, or, the economy, this is going on in the economy, and we tend to just assign our emotional state outside of us to the people and the things going on. And he's saying, you're in charge of that. And it's true, and it's empowering when you recognize that.
So, absolutely. It's something that I've drawn from in my own personal experience is I had the opportunity to live in a third world country. And I lived there for 2 years and experienced happiness, joy.
Yeah.
These people were at peace. They liked life, and they had nothing.
Yeah.
They lived with literally a dirt floor in the room in an adobe house. They had no running water. They had no electricity, kerosene lamps. They had to go outside for the outhouse, for the latrine. And yet these people could laugh. They had joy. They smiled. So it's jokingly referred to as first world problems. But what I realize is when I'm frustrated with something, I need to put it into context. And that experience in my life, I reflect on nearly daily. And I really put things into perspective when I realize, you know what, the things that I feel are concerns or issues, in the whole scheme of things, they shouldn't affect my attitude or my experience. Now, it's not to say I don't get frustrated.
Sure.
It's not to say I don't get sad or depressed. What it is saying is I have the ability to quickly realize I am, however, in control of this. Now, this isn't to address maybe more the medical states of depression and chemical issues and so forth. That's a whole, I think, different discussion that's very valid.
Right.
But here I think it's just recognizing that we do have more control over our emotions and such than maybe we're willing to give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely.
Yep, I love it. Okay.
Well said.
Let's see here. High performers consciously cultivate joy. What do you think that means?
Yeah, again, you're emotionally aware. If you're going to cultivate joy, it's because you have the emotional awareness to know when you're not in a place of joy, right? You're paying attention to yourselves. I was just asking someone the other day who I coached, I said, how do you, what's one of your main emotions that you feel in the situation? They had no idea, what to even express, what to even name that. And so, if we're going to consciously cultivate something, we need to be aware of what our current situation is, our starting point, right? And that begins with emotional awareness. And if I'm not feeling that, if I am feeling frustrated or insecure or confused, that comes up a lot in business, then what are my thoughts about this? What am I thinking that's creating this current emotion, right? What also exists in me that around this issue that feels more like joy? And that's what's so neat to see is when I'm coaching someone and we're looking at what causes anxiety, for instance, it's not that we're saying, in order to feel differently about this, you have to just believe this whole new thing you've never thought of before. No, you at all times have certain beliefs that support the desires that you have. I believe you don't, if you have a desire placed in you for something, it's because you're also equipped with the ability to go and create that. I truly, truly believe that. And so if you're just kind of stuck in this place of anxiety in a process you're working on in your business, then there's also joy available. You're just not shining the light on that at the moment. You have other beliefs about this very same thing that are better, more productive, that are joyful. It's just that right now you're hyper-focused on the anxious part of it, right? So we just kind of turn the light and shine the spotlight on the current beliefs you already have about this journey or about where you're at that are joyful, and it just becomes easier to access, and we just shine the light on that and give that our attention. And from there, we cultivate it. And cultivating joy means you act on it. You experience that inspiration and purpose of your business, and then you go out and do the thing next, right, with that spirit of joy.
Yeah, and I'm going to add one thing to that. In cultivating, I also think it's important to find how can we bring that forth for others. It's are we in a position where I can bring joy to you? Can I actually help extend that to you? Because I think there's a lot of people that really have a lot on their shoulders that they're burdened with. And if we can come in and just make their day a little brighter, smile, give them some hope, let them know they're not alone, let them know that they are loved, that they have someone that they can lean on. Some people just feel too alone and isolated. They just need to realize that there's that support mechanism. And if we can be that for someone, that can oftentimes be huge. It can be the relief valve that they're looking for. So to cultivate it, it's in ourselves as you were describing, but also I want to cultivate it for others. If I can leave the interactions I have with people, having them feel like they are grateful that we spoke, that we interacted that day, that they feel better about themselves after that experience, then I feel that I did my part to cultivate joy in someone else as well.
Yeah, that's great. And you're good at that. I walk away always feeling that way.
Excellent.
So
well, I'm at a point right now in my life where I have been blessed in so many ways that I do want to give back. I want to feel like, and in fact, I'll even be so clear as to say, I want people to feel loved when they're done interacting with me.
Yeah.
If they feel as if they are touched that way, I think we all need to feel that. I've learned in life that too often there are people who are alone and scared, abandoned, and they just need to know that they are loved. And I'd like to offer that. So I have it to give. It's in abundance, and I'm more than happy to share it. So
it's beautiful. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so I've got some off-the-wall questions for you.
Okay.
If you could live, and this is a crazy question for you. I almost know what's going to come out of your mouth, but I'm asking it anyways. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Right here.
Oh, heavens, I thought you were going to say Brazil.
I want to visit. I want to go back and visit.
Good. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't ever want to live where I enjoy vacationing.
Yeah.
Kind of a long story, but here, we live in Utah. For those of you who don't know, live here in Utah. I absolutely love it here. Four seasons.
Me too.
The mountains. What are some of the things you also like about it?
Yeah. The Four Seasons. I think Utah is like the Disneyland of geography. Like we were just in Goblin Valley I was telling you about last week. Just awe-inspiring.
Yep.
I just think the mountains, from mountains to sand dunes. We just need a beach. It'd be perfection.
Well, we're so close, so close. If they would just commercialize Utah Lake and make it like a Lake Tahoe and put the sand there and put the resorts there, we'd have it. Couldn't do it on the Great Salt Lake because of the salty nature of it, and you got the brine shrimp and the flies out there. But honestly, we are this close to having that kind of resort. Then we'd have essentially all the types of geology, if you will.
I think you have a business idea, you and me.
Yeah, well,
Bringing the beach to Utah.
A few $1 billion later. All right, so here's the thing. If you could sit down with anyone and visit with them, with whom would it be and why?
Lately, I referenced him earlier, Gary Zukov.
Okay.
He wrote a book called The Seat of the Soul. Have you heard of it?
I've not, no.
Oh, I'm sure it's because of life circumstances I'm in. It's just perfect timing for me to hear his writings, his words. It is just phenomenal. I'd love to visit with him and pick
What
his
would you
brain.
ask him?
I would ask him about, he talks about aligning your personality with your soul and that process. I'd ask him more about his personal experience with it and ask him for, I have a couple situations in my life that still is something I'm working on, and I'd love to hear, his advice or his input on that.
Interesting.
Help
Very
me get
good.
some clarity around it.
Okay. What's your favorite trip that you've taken and why? Where'd you go?
Favorite trip. Going back to Brazil. I hadn't been, since I was 15, and I went back about 4 years ago. So there had been a really long gap. It was just really neat to be back with family again, and I'm just very much, I love being connected to my roots, and so just being there and just feeling that's a part of me, and being in that place is really special.
Was it as you remembered?
Some of it.
Okay.
Yeah, some of it. It's interesting how smell.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, the smells were familiar. They were nostalgic and brought back. But it's a little different going back in as an adult. I was way more on alert. So I wasn't, in the touristy areas. And so, yeah.
Well, where were you in Brazil?
In São Paulo, the heart of the city there. And,
all right. Yeah. No, there's some rough places there.
Yeah. And just tall, blonde. Like that's here, you just walk past, all different hair colors and skin tones and everything. There, I just sore thumb. So I just felt a little.
I wouldn't say
watched.
sore thumb. You're not a sore thumb. You're as attractive as ever walking down the street. So yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. You just felt the energy of like.
Everyone's noticing.
Yeah, because you look so different than everyone else.
Yeah, I get that. All right, so I'm going to go down some fun questions.
Okay.
For you. All right. First of all, book recommendations. Give me 1 or 2 books that you would recommend and why. Like your top books.
Yeah, The Seat of the Soul.
Seat of the Soul.
So good. It's S-E-A-T. That took me a while when I heard it on something to
Why?
understand.
What else would you think?
The seed.
Oh, the seed. Okay.
Yeah,
no, I
so
heard
the
seat when you said the
yeah.
seat of the soul, where the
I was
soul
careful to
is sitting
enunciate.
down. No,
Yes.
I heard it the first time. So
Where
you
your
did,
soul sits and resides.
Yes. Okay. Why? Why the book?
Because it was so touching to me in that, let's see, why? It just really helped me understand, like the bedrock of every intention of ours is going to be either fear or love.
Okay.
Okay? If you just boil everything down, you're either acting out of fear or love.
Okay.
And to the way he explains that, and the way he explains that journey of your spiritual development, and I don't mean necessarily in a religious way, just if you believe you're more than a mind and a body, then you believe there's some sort of spirit, okay?
Yeah.
If you're interested in developing your soul and expanding yourself and learning how to live in alignment with who you really are, no matter, what people do or say, then it's a very inspiring book. And it's just very loving to understand what our journey here is. He calls it the Earth School.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
School.
Give me another book then.
Gosh, I read so much. What am I enjoying lately? I just am so in the development books. I'm trying to think of something different, more fun. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Why Harry Potter?
Well, that was my first experience with, I wasn't much of a reader growing up. I was really active. I just wanted to be out doing things and sitting and reading. Yeah, it just wasn't a draw for me. And so I have if you haven't read the book yet and you think it's silly, I would really challenge you to, because it was the first book as an adult. I had a neighbor across the street really push me to get started on them. And I thought it was silly wizard stuff and was like, no. But as I got into it, I just soaked it up, loved it. At the time, I rode tracks to work. And
hold on, did you read it or do audio?
Read.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think audio was an option back then.
Oh, now you're like dating us or something.
I know. I know, right?
No, they didn't. No, you had stencils back then.
Yeah.
I could lug a chapter with me a day.
It's
That's
the scroll. I just read it. So anyway, yeah, I read it on tracks and just was it was so fun. I'm a more logical thinker, and for a book to take you away and just have your imagination, go different places, it's fun.
So I have to identify with that. One, I didn't read a lot when I was younger. I would read what was needed for school, and I did great in school. I just learned very quickly. I didn't have to read it all.
Yeah.
And so the storybook type things really didn't appeal to me. And I remember reading a distinct book that really connected with me, and that was the one book I read throughout my entire high school. 4 years, one book. Okay. Now later on in life, I got into business. Read just a ton of books, but they were self-help books or business books.
Yeah.
And I had, maybe now 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I got into some fictional type books. And now I'm part of a book club, and we read these books. They're prepper in orientation, but they're fictional, and I just love these books. I can now get into the storyline of them, and Coincidentally, I was just looking at my library. I'm amazed at myself at how many books I've read.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to gloat over. I'm just like, I didn't know I'd read so many books. I just had them. And when you consider like, $10, $15, $20 each, I'm like, holy cow, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So anyways, and I do you prefer audio or book?
Oh, book. I want it in my hands. I do prefer book.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's a few that I'll listen to audio, but honestly, I'm doing more podcast listening than audio book listening.
Yeah,
so there
definitely.
you go. All right, give me 3 movies you would recommend, like your top 3 or 3 movies you'd recommend and why.
I'm not great at this because I'm not on the up and up with movies.
You've already given me 2. You
Okay,
told
yeah.
me Elf.
While you were sleeping at Christmas time, Elf.
Yeah. Okay, so there's 2, but give me something else.
What's something I've watched recently? Okay. As an adult, watching Wonder Woman as a woman was so empowering to me.
This most recent one.
The first one, when it came out.
Yeah, but you're talking about not the 70s television show. You're talking about the movies that are out now.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Why was it so empowering?
Yeah, just these last few years, I've really been tapping into the powerful nature of the feminine nature.
Yeah.
I've always been a feminine person, but I always thought like to be successful and to be taken seriously, I had to be more in a masculine type of energy, like really assertive and certainly not emotional, right? And those sort of things. And I just am kind of stepping into recognizing the power that comes from that feminine place. And so I think it was just inspiring. Like after the movie, when I didn't like something somebody was doing, I'd be like, stop, don't talk to me like that.
I love it.
Yeah, so that was fun. I'm kind of drawing a blank on movies.
That's all right.
I haven't watched one for a while.
Do you listen to any podcasts?
I do. I like one called Faith Matters. I listen to your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And
Building the premier accounting firm.
Yes,
There you
plug, yes. And I kind of hop around. I kind of was listening to one on patriarchy because I didn't really understand that concept, and just that was interesting to me. The history of women. Anyway, I just kind of pop around. I don't tend to like subscribe to one and listen to every single one.
Yeah, no binging there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind
More
of go.
topical.
Yeah, what I'm interested in.
You like the host and you listen to topics. Mm-hmm. Good, I like that. Okay. Now, this one here is going to be a little bit more interesting. What's a question I should have asked you so far that I haven't asked yet? I've got more coming, but tell me.
That one. No, that's a great question. What haven't you asked me?
What were you thinking I was going to ask? You were all prepared for. You were ready. There's my
Yeah.
answer, and I just haven't asked it yet.
Yeah.
This is testament to the fact that I've asked everything I'm supposed to have.
Seriously, I think so, because I was going to say, you asked me personal things, business, kind of what are the common... I will tell you what my favorite question is that you asked me.
Please.
Let's say that, because I can't think
What's
of
the favorite so
instead
far?
of seeing me just fumble here. I like that you asked me, what's the biggest myth about what I do that people, expect that what I do. Yeah.
Good.
I like that.
Perfect. Okay. So this is going to be now a new experience in our discussion.
Okay.
I have 4 topics. You get to pick the one of the 4 that we're now going to discuss.
Okay.
All right. So listen carefully.
Okay.
And then you get to pick
All right.
faith, current events, family,
Okay.
workaholic versus balanced life. Pick one.
Okay. I knew which one I for sure didn't want was current events. We already talked about.
Oh, come on. That's like what everybody wants to hear.
We do not want to discuss current events. Let's talk about number 4, because very relevant to our people.
Workaholic
Yeah.
versus balanced life.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, first of all, I think honestly, balanced life, it's something we desire and we're like, yes, I want that. And it's what we strive for. But in reality, sometimes that construct of balanced life, our mind seems to think that everything is even Steven, and then we can call it balanced.
Amen. I don't think it exists. I don't even think it's possible.
Right. But But we talk about a balanced life, right? We talk about that's what we're striving for, so we believe it's possible if that's what we're striving for. And so the word I like and what I use with my clients is harmony versus balance.
Oh, I like that.
Okay? Are the things you're involved in, do you feel that you're in harmony with them, right? Versus balance, meaning, well, I work a lot more than I do this, or, when we compare, the balance, I feel, makes us compare.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of the even Steven. So harmony, are you feeling in harmony with all the areas of your life? And that's why I just, love that you provide the coaching through your program, because this is so important. It comes up for so many people, and a lot of people don't feel in harmony because they're in this judgment, it should look a certain way. And I just love the idea of not only supporting people to be successful in business, but to feel harmonious with all aspects of their life. What is the point of an amazing, successful accounting firm and business if you feel out of harmony in the other areas of your life? To me, it's essential that you learn how to attain that.
Very well said. I'm always frustrated with the term balanced life. I think, like you said, it implies something that is unobtainable, and it implies something is there that doesn't exist.
Right.
The part about balanced life, I like harmony instead. That makes a lot of sense. But I have a story to share with you that you might appreciate. And I think I've actually shared this before, so it may sound familiar. Listen to an excellent Q&A session where a person in the audience asked the person that was speaking, how do we, in our lives, manage juggling all these things that are expected of us? Success at work, success at school, success at family, relations. And they listed off all these things. And at the time, I would imagine the list was perhaps as many as 5, 6, 7 items. And the person up front then offered this great counsel. And they said, first of all, you can't do all those things. You first of all have to recognize that everything you just listed, something has to give. You can't presume that you're going to be doing all those things. And then he offered the solution of identify the 3 or 4 that you wish to excel in. And rather than worrying about the quantity of time devoted to each, the quality, be present and do the things. And then he gave this analogy that I thought was so helpful to illustrate it. He described what I think a lot of us are familiar with, which are the sticks with the plates on them that you have to kind of get the momentum going for the plate to stay going. And he says if you've got too many of those plates that you're running around trying to give energy to before they wobble and fall and break, what happens is you're inevitably going to have something fall and break because you had too many going.
Right.
You need to limit it so that you can comfortably, not anxiously, manage each of those things. You just now need to figure out which they are. And then actually, I don't know that he offered this. I think this is mine. So perhaps I'm taking credit, not because I want the credit, but because I don't think he said it. I don't want to imply that he did. But the point is I think at the same time, you also then just have to respect there's a time and a season in your life for all things, which is to say, when you're younger, maybe this isn't that important. Maybe school right now in your 20s is more important than when you're in your 50s. In fact, by the time you're in your 50s, the amount of studying and education is going to wane in comparison to being in college, let's say. But now when you're in your, let's say your 30s, you've got children, where when you're in your 20s, you probably just have a relationship with someone else. So that's one person versus maybe 2 or 3 or 4 kids. So all of a sudden, you're changing each stage of your life, the priorities and the plates. You're going to selectively choose one to take off and put a new one on. But it's that idea of I've got 3 or 4 things I can do. What are the 3 or 4 things I want to be great at? And I'm going to focus on those.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to add that if you have the foundational belief that I won't miss out on any experience that I'm supposed to have, right? I'm not going to miss out on anything that is important that comes my way or that I'm supposed to experience or that or where I'm supposed to contribute. If you just are settled in that, then you can choose those things with that trust and be all in on them instead of being in on them and wondering about those other things you let go.
Oh yeah, you've got to be present. Yeah, there's an anxiousness and anxiety of I'm missing out.
Oh yeah.
There actually is a phobia of what am I missing out on? And you're not present for the thing you're in now because you're worried about the other thing you might be missing on. It's like you're missing the whole point.
It's a very real thing for sure. But
Now I've got a family member who consciously is anxious about what she's missing out on but she's not necessarily present for the things she's sitting in. It's fascinating to me, but it's something she struggles with. So yeah. I get it. All right. So now I have what we're going to end with, which are some rapid fire questions.
Okay. Oh man.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
So you just got to pick either or. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Money or fame?
Money.
Read a book or watch a movie?
Read a book.
Introvert, extrovert?
Extrovert.
Disneyland or Disney World?
Ooh, Disney World.
Fly or drive?
Fly.
Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Well done.
Yeah. Well, I want to know yours.
You want to know mine?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to rapid fire you.
All right.
Drive or fly?
Drive. Definitely drive.
Okay, read a book or watch a movie?
Watch a movie.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
We're opposite on everything so far. Money or fame?
Money.
Okay, breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast. Now, hold on. Just to be clear, not that I like eating the breakfast. I skip breakfast most every day, which as a weight coach, you're probably going to tell me you got to eat your meal.
No.
I don't eat breakfast, but at lunch and dinner, I will pick off of the menu a breakfast item.
The breakfast foods.
Yes.
Okay, so breakfast.
So it's
yeah?
kind of interesting. Breakfast, yes, but not because I eat in the morning.
Okay. Literally opposite on everything. Okay, Star Wars or Star Trek?
So this is interesting. I love the Star Wars. In fact, my favorite show is Rogue. Or is it called Rogue? No, it's...
Is it?
It's Rogue. I want to say it's Rogue.
Rogue One?
Rogue One, yeah, that's what it is.
I don't
It's
know
Rogue.
much about Star.
Rogue One, that's it.
Okay.
So Rogue One, that is my most favorite of all the episodes. Fascinated by that one. However, I love the concept, the space of Star Trek, more so than I do the space of Star Wars. I like Star Trek is more real and more present. You know, the oddities and the creatures, although there are creatures and stuff in Star Trek. But I relate more to Star Trek. I think it's fascinating, but I enjoy the movies and the story a little bit better in its story narrative. So kind of a mixed bag on that one.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we got them all.
Yeah, and I think I was opposite on everything.
Everything.
We complement each other well.
That's right.
There you go. See what we each are lacking, we contribute. So that's good. All right, so here's the thing. I just want to end by thanking you. I think the world of you, both personally and professionally.
You.
I think you're amazing in what you bring to just the personal relationships. I've seen it with myself and others. I just think you're all in, a lot of heart and soul. The other thing I'd like to say that professionally, when I reached out to you a few years ago, I guess, I don't know how long.
I just noticed we hit our 2-year mark.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, with our programs, we actually offer coaching with every curriculum that we offer. So there's some academic coach or such that's available. And in one of the programs, they have access to you specifically as a life coach. And what's fascinating is I've been doing this now for over 20 years. And over 20 years, we each year assess what's lacking in our programs and how can we actually level it up, take it up another notch. And it's not been... a miss for years, or better say, we knew this was an issue, but we didn't know how to address it, which was a lot of people actually want to start their accounting business or build their business, and they run into life-related issues, meaning it's in their head. There's a lot of stuff emotionally and so forth in their head. Sure. It's not my marketing isn't working. It's not that my accounting isn't working. It's not the services that I'm doing aren't working. It's the fact that in my own headspace, I'm choking. There's something with confidence that's holding me back. There's imposter syndrome, as you brought up earlier. So there's more of this headspace game that's going on. And so for a long time, we were teaching accounting, teaching marketing, teaching sales successfully. But regularly, we would find procrastination as an issue. We would find confidence as an issue. And we just didn't really have a way of addressing it. And you'll remember 2 years ago, I met you and I said, I've got a need and I have a vision and I think you might be able to help me. Are you willing to give this a try? And obviously we just said, here are these people. And I remember you later sharing, I didn't even know what you did, is what you told me. I said, I need you to just work with these people because they're eager, they're malleable. I think they're open to change, but they need someone like your skill set to help them achieve their goals. And you hit it out of the park. Not only did you give them the attention they needed, and honestly, I think the tools that they were lacking not from an accounting or business side,
Sure.
from a personal confidence side. And then at the same time, you took a vested interest in who we are and learned about our programs and got more familiar with who we are as an organization. And I just really appreciate that interest. So I think you've done an amazing job, not only for us, but for the people, all the people that you've worked with. I continually get praises as to who you are and what you've done for individuals. You've been there for them. And you and I both know that there's people that have started working with you that had zero expectation.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I just know that I've paid for this. Shoot, go.
Yeah.
And they come away from that going, I didn't even know I needed this. I didn't realize how important this is as a part of my success. And you've really been there for them, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It has been an amazing opportunity, and I have so much love and belief in your people and in what you do and in your vision. I'm all in on it, and the more we can help others achieve, the desires of their hearts and the kind of lives that they want, it's so exciting. It's a great thing to be a part of.
Excellent. Well, with that said, let me just wrap this up by saying this. Obviously, if you're interested in this episode or others, go ahead and listen to what else we have. We've got other phenomenal guests, and I invite you to visit and see who they are, but definitely subscribe to the podcast. We're going to have new, exciting things coming out that you don't want to miss. But for more information on not only this, but other things that you can apply in your business, check us out at universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777. Or, if anything, just reach out because we're happy to find out about you, your goals, and what you're trying to accomplish and see how we can point you in the right direction. So with all that being said, be safe out there, have a great day, and always remember this: if it's about accounting, it is universal.